Hi, how are you, Jason?
I'm doing
First of
great.
all, sorry for my English. I know it's not too good, but I hope you can understand me.
It's good. I'm good. I'm with you.
Okay, Mr. Reitman, in the film, you recreate various classics Saturday Night sketches. What was like developing them as part of the plot of the film?
I'm sorry. I didn't completely understand the question. Do you mind asking one more time?
Yes, in the film, you
Yes.
recreate various classic Saturday Night sketches. What was it like developing them as a part of the plot of the film?
Oh, understood. Um, it's interesting, right? Because I wanted to make sure that every sketch found its way to be an integral part of the actual plot. I didn't ever want to be watching a sketch simply because, you wanted to relive it. So a sketch like the Hard Hat sketch with Gilda Radner became a sketch about feminism and the arc of the three actresses that were on the show. And even the first sketch that we see is about a break-in, which I thought was a great metaphor for what was happening in 30 Rock. That it felt like these young people were actually trying to break into 30 Rock and break into the television show. And the fact that Dan Aykroyd can't even make it through a door at first is a metaphor for something that's happening throughout the film. There's people trying to get through doors, and every door is locked to them until Lorne Michaels finally smashes his way through a glass door at the end. So I love your question because it speaks to so much of what we were trying to do, which was use the sketch not just to relive, but actually experience what they were going through as they put this show on for the first time.
Even though we know the end of the film, you can draw the attention and excite the audience when the cold opening ends. What's like for you to be in that moment, to recreate that moment live from all the crew, all the actors? How do you feel? I remember when I saw the movie in theaters, the people
Mhm.
roar in the end.
I love that. Thank you for asking. I grew up on sets. I grew up on my father's sets, and the moment that I started to arrive on sets, all I wanted to do was be on the trucks, be part of the crew, and, have a walkie-talkie and a jacket and feel like I was one of the guys. And so when I thought about Saturday Night Live, part of what always moved me about this story was this group of young people who arrived as outsiders on the set that belonged to a crew that had been there for 20 years, and that over the course of 90 minutes, somehow they would learn to come together. That the story of anything, any show being put on is the story of differences being put aside and people coalescing to create things. And I think that's what I always loved about the Saturday Night Live story, is that they were trying all these new things for the first time, and it felt like there was no way possible they would ever get there, and it only gets there as a result of this old adage, the show must go on. And it's in those moments that we come together. And it was the bricks, when as soon as I heard the story of the bricks going down, I knew that was going to be in the movie because it's such an obvious metaphor for what it's like to make a movie or put on a show.
The film tells us about fighting for our dreams. Despite everything, tell us that keep up. How do you feel identified with this within the film industry as a director, as a producer?
It's so funny, right? Because when you're trying to bring your dreams to life, often it's impossible to articulate exactly what your dreams are, and yet still you have to convince people to come along with you. And I found that in making movies, I'm often trying to convince people to join me, to get in the car, to get on the road, even though I can't exactly articulate what the movie is. And it's one reason that I always really empathize with Lorne Michaels, because everyone is asking him exactly what is Saturday Night Live, and he has no answer for them. Because sometimes when you're creating something, you don't know what it is yet. You're following a feeling, you're following a taste, and you don't know until you actually get there. And so I think that's why we have this storyline of Lorne Michaels constantly being asked, what is Saturday night? And that we finally get to a place where he's able to say, this is what it is.
Uh, Please, could you tell me about the experience of hearing live music on set with John Baptist?
Oh my God. Unlike anything I've ever experienced in my life. John Baptiste is touched by God. And he set the heartbeat of the movie. And the experience was this. He would act all day, and then we would wrap, and then he would change into his street clothes with his band, and our editor would show him rough cuts on a laptop, and John would just simply turn to his band and say, play this, play that. And he would write all the music in real time. It would just come out of him. And in many ways, it echoed the creative process of the creation of Saturday Night Live because it was creativity in real time, and we got to witness it with our own eyes and ears. And we would take the recordings from set and then re-edit the movie. And as a result, you can feel it in the movie. The movie is moving to the heartbeat of John Baptiste's musical mind.
Recreating the chaos almost in real time requires a lot of learning. But how much did you allow yourself to improvise in the set?
Oh, it's a great question. A director wants to control everything, right? Like that's our instinct as a director is I want to control the color on the wall and the way your hair looks and like what you're wearing. I want to control everything. And with Saturday Night, we were choreographing, 160 performances simultaneously in this ballet of chaos. And yet every time I say action, I have to surrender because it's not mine anymore. When I say action, and now we're about to do a take that goes for 3 or 4 or 5 minutes, it belongs to the actors now. And they know they may have dialogue, they may have marks to hit, but the way they bounce off each other, it's going to be different every single time. And it's in those moments of nuanced mistakes and invention that the movie comes to life. And I stop being the director, and in many ways, I just become the audience.
There was something you want to create in this movie, but you have to abandon because budget or time or another question?
It's a good question. I'm trying to remember if there was anything that we abandoned in real time. I'm sure there are little things, but to be perfectly honest, this is one of those movies where things lined up. Where as we were writing it, every time we would hear a new story from someone who was there on the night, we knew exactly where to weave it in. And on set, it just kept on building. It was less of a movie in which things were left behind and much more of a movie in which we kept on finding places to add things.
Okay. You had an amazing cast. What it was like reaching out them and make the audience feel like they're watching those characters that they have known all their lives. I don't see an actor. I see a Dylan O'Brien. I see a Dan Aykroyd, for example.
That's so sweet. Thank you. I think the trick is making it not an impersonation. Because the instinct of most actors at first was to do an impersonation the kind that you would see on Saturday Night Live, as opposed to the embodiment, capturing someone's essence. And the trick to doing it was understanding what those characters were going through on October 11th, 1975, what they felt in the minutes leading up, as they navigate whether or not they are about to be stars. When they're able to embody the emotions of those specific moments, they stop being impersonations and they start being real people. And in a strange way, I think they become funnier characters because you become involved in their emotional journey.
Just for the end, Mr. Reitman, we can feel the love that you have for Saturday Night. How special is to you to make this film in this anniversary of the program?
As a child, all I wanted to do was work at Saturday Night Live. I would watch it every Saturday and dream of what it would be like to work there all week, come up with ideas, watch them be produced in real time. And of course, I became a director, not a writer at Saturday Night Live. But in this movie, I got to travel in time. I got to go back to 1975 and feel what it was like to be there. And I think as filmmakers, that's what we're always trying to do, is revisit a moment. Sometimes it's a real place, sometimes it's just an emotional idea. but we're trying to revisit something from when we were younger and relive it, or maybe it goes a different direction. And this just felt like the biggest wish fulfillment of all time.
Raymond, thank you very much for this interview. All the luck. I love your movie. I really
Thank
love the
you.
movie.
Thank you for this interview. I really appreciate it, Irving. Nice meeting you.
Nice to meet you. See you.
All right,
Gracias,
see
Irving. Muy
Gracias.
amable.
Saludos.
Gracias por
Salgo.
todo. Hasta
Gracias a ti.
luego.
Hasta luego.
Adiós.